I dedicated my life to our family business, but when my father retired, he handed everything to my unqualified sister instead. I'm 35 male, and for over a decade, my entire life revolved around the family business, the kind of business you're expected to grow up into. I sacrificed a lot, late nights, weekends, relationships, just to keep the gears turning, to make sure what my father had built didn't fall apart. In my head, it was all worth it. I was the son, the heir, the one who was supposed to take the reins when my father eventually retired. At least, that's what I thought. My father always talked about legacy, about how important it was to keep the family name strong in the industry. I bought into it. All those years, I never asked for more than what I earned. I worked for every cent, every bit of respect, and the idea that one day the company would be mine kept me going. But that day never came. It was last summer when my father officially stepped down. I remember walking into the office, expecting some kind of announcement, a transfer of control maybe. Instead, my sister, S, sat in his chair, all smiles, leaning back like she belonged there. I couldn't believe it. She hadn't worked a day in her life. Hell, she barely showed up to family dinners. She'd always been more interested in the superficial, spending money, living off the family's success without putting in the effort. But there she was, in the big office, holding the keys to the entire company. The new CEO. I looked at my father, waiting for some kind of explanation, but he just shrugged and said, S has a vision for where the company can go. I think she's better suited to lead. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Better suited? How could he say that with a straight face? It didn't make any sense. She didn't know the business. She didn't know anything. I tried to stay calm. I asked him, quietly at first, why? Why her? He looked at me, eyes blank, and said, it's a new era. The company needs fresh ideas, new blood. I'll never forget the way S smirked, as if she had won some silent game I didn't know we were playing. Fresh ideas? I repeated, struggling to keep my voice steady. She doesn't even know how the company runs. She cut in before my father could answer. You've been keeping things afloat? Sure, but we need to grow. I've got connections, plans. You've done your part, but now it's time to think bigger. The entitlement in her voice was unreal. She was talking like I was some placeholder, like the years I'd poured into this company meant nothing. I lost it. All those years I worked, all the sacrifices I made. For what? To hand everything over to her because she's thinking bigger? What about the fact that I actually know how this company works? My father didn't budge. His decision was made. I could see it in his eyes, the same eyes that once told me I was the future. Now I was just in the way. For weeks, I stayed on. I thought I could ride it out, keep doing what I always did, maybe find a way to fix things. But S made it impossible. She started pulling rank, undermining every decision I made. She'd show up late, make changes without consulting anyone, and then when things went wrong, she'd blame me. Every single time. And my father? He did nothing. Absolutely nothing. He just let it happen, like he didn't even care anymore. Or worse, like he was relieved I wasn't fighting it. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore. I walked out. I figured if my father was so convinced S was the future, he could deal with the fallout when she ran the company into the ground. I wasn't going to stick around and watch her destroy what I had helped build. But then, a few months ago, my father had a heart attack. It wasn't a mild one, either. It was bad. The kind that leaves you laid up in a hospital bed with wires and machines doing half the work for your body. S was nowhere to be found. She didn't even visit. The same daughter he handed everything to, the one he thought could lead the company into some new era, had completely abandoned him. She didn't want to deal with the hospital, the bills, the stress. She didn't want to deal with him. I got the call from my mother. She was frantic, sobbing, your father, he needs you. I hadn't spoken to him in months. After everything, I tried to distance myself, to build my own life away from the wreckage of what should have been mine. But hearing my mother's voice, hearing the desperation, I felt something stir inside me. Anger? Guilt? I don't know. Maybe both. I drove to the hospital, and when I walked into that room, I saw him there, frail, hooked up to all those machines, eyes barely open. It was like seeing a ghost. The man who once seemed larger than life, the man who made all the decisions, now couldn't even stand on his own. He looked at me, eyes watery, and whispered, "Where's S?" I clenched my fists. Of course, she was the first person he asked about. Of course, even now, he was wondering where his precious daughter was. "She's not coming," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "She hasn't been around, and I don't think she plans to." He stared at me, confused, like he couldn't process it. I could see the pain in his eyes. Whether it was physical pain or the realization that S didn't care, I couldn't tell. Maybe both. "I gave her everything," he muttered, almost to himself. I wanted to scream. I wanted to remind him that he didn't just give her everything. He took everything from me to give to her. But looking at him, lying there, weak and broken, I couldn't do it. Not like this. "I know," I said, my voice tight. "I know you did." The days that followed were a blur of hospital visits and tense conversations. My mother was barely holding it together, and S remained MIA. The company, unsurprisingly, was in chaos. The company, unsurprisingly, was in chaos. Turns out S's big ideas weren't so great after all. Profits were down, employees were quitting, and contracts were falling through. Everything I had warned about was happening, but I wasn't in a position to care anymore. I had my own decisions to make. One night, after another long day at the hospital, my father finally broke. He looked at me with those tired, regret-filled eyes and said, "I made a mistake, didn't I?" I didn't answer right away. I just stared at him, the weight of the past year pressing down on me. "Yeah," I finally said. "You did." He nodded, a slow, painful nod. "Can you fix it? Can you help?" I couldn't believe he was asking me that. After everything, after handing my entire future to someone who couldn't care less, he was asking me to clean up the mess. I wanted to say no. I wanted to walk out of that hospital room and never look back. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the years of loyalty, the years of believing in the idea of family, or maybe it was just pity. Whatever it was, I couldn't leave him like that. "I don't know," I said honestly. "I don't know if I can fix it." Silence hung in the air between us, heavy and thick. He didn't push any further. Maybe he knew he didn't have the right to. Eventually, the hospital released him. He was weak, still recovering, but he was home. And so was I, at least for now. I stepped in, cleaned up some of the immediate disasters at the company. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't quick, but things started to stabilize. Estelle hadn't shown her face. One day, she did call. Well, not call me directly. She called our mother, probably expecting the usual guilt-free handout. But this time, our mother didn't cave. I don't know exactly what was said, but I do know that S didn't get what she wanted. Maybe that's when she realized that her new era wasn't going to happen without the hard work she'd never wanted to do. And then, just like that, she was out of the picture. No visits, no calls, no apologies. It's like she vanished as soon as things got tough. My father never admitted it outright, but I could see the realization weighing on him. He'd given her everything, and she gave him nothing in return. But by then, I was already dealing with my own internal battle. I could take control again, run the company the way I always had, rebuild what had been destroyed, or I could walk away for good, leave the mess behind, and start fresh. The company, my father, all of it. It had taken so much from me already. I wasn't sure how much more I had to give. In the end, I chose a middle ground. I stabilized the company, made sure it wouldn't implode, then handed it over to someone I trusted. Someone who wasn't family. Someone who had earned their place. And then I walked away, for good this time. As for my father, well, he's still here, recovering slowly. I visit. I help when I can, but our relationship will never be the same. How could it be? Trust was broken, maybe beyond repair. He tried to apologize a few times, but the words always felt hollow. Too much damage had been done. We keep things civil, but that's all it is. Civility. I'll never be able to forget what he did. How easily he gave everything away to someone who didn't deserve it. How he overlooked me until it was too late. She never came back. She moved out of state, from what I hear. Living her life, disconnected from the fallout she caused. I doubt she thinks much about us, about the mess she left behind. Typical, really. And honestly, that's fine with me. The less I have to deal with her, the better. It's strange, but I've found a kind of peace in walking away. I've started a new business, something completely different. And it's small, but it's mine. No family ties, no expectations. Just me building something from the ground up again. This time, though, I'm doing it for myself. Looking back, I realize I spent years chasing validation from a father who never really saw me. Now, I don't need that anymore. I've learned that sometimes, walking away is the best thing you can do. For your sanity, for your future. So that's where I'm at. It's not the life I thought I'd have, but in a way, it's better. I'm free. Free from the weight of family expectations. Free from a business that consumed me. And free from people who never appreciated what I gave. And to anyone reading this, remember, sometimes the best thing you can do is let go, even when it hurts. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them. So please leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more stories like this one.